What is this? Another fucking episode of the 1 Ounce Pour. That's right. You thought, oh, maybe they're doing every other week. I don't know. I miss them. We're doing it right now because we have a very special guest, Matt Banbury. And why don't you say hello, Matt? If you can hear me. Oh, there we go. Okay, good. I thought you heard the music and left. Like you thought that was
I was jamming out. I was dancing.
You're dancing? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I hope you had all the blinds open, shirtless.
How'd you know? Are you looking?
I mean, I have a secret webcam across the street. See that guy across the street? Yeah, I pay him every week to film you. Yeah, exactly. Now, for those that don't know, this is the 1 Ounce Pour. And if you're just joining us, go back and listen to all of our other shows. They're kind of okay. A little bit. They're not going to be as great as today's show, because obviously Matt is on board. But it's just me. You're just stuck with Drew. Tom, he was like, oh, my wife or something. I don't know. So he left me all alone with Matt, which is kind of how I like it. I don't know. Before we get started, please raise your ounce, chin chin, to the 1 Ounce Pour. Hey, Matt, were you drinking anything then, or did you take a different ounce?
Oh, I'm drinking. I'm drinking
good.
Right now.
Oh, hell yeah. Awesome.
Yes.
Well, since we don't have Tom here to talk about his food, we're just going to go straight into Drew's Brews Cruise and talk about a local beer, which is by Wasatch Brewery, and it is the Ghost Rider, which is kind of been my go-to liquor store beer. For those that don't know, Utah, to get a real beer, you have to go to the liquor store. If you want a nice little 5%er beer, you can stay at a grocer, but to get a real beer, you go to the liquor store. So this has been my liquor store pick. Yeah, it's pretty good. It has hints of pine and lemon. It's a dry hop, unfiltered IPA, and it's apparently brewed with coriander, whatever that means. If you work at Wasatch and know what that means and are like dying to tell me, reach out to us, the 1OZ podcast at gmail.com, or hit us up on Instagram, 1 Ounce Pour Podcast. I don't know how you tag stuff in Instagram, but that's how it works. And don't forget, people, you can actually pay me money now, which is crazy. If you go to Patreon, patreon.com/1 Ounce Pour Podcast, you can become a member, which means if you pay me $3.50, you get all the perks of live chatting with us, as well as a possibility of a live stream. And if you pay me $7 a month, you actually get the benefit of live streaming, talking to us in chat, and you could suggest guests and or suggest hobbies for us to do a segment on. Whether that means we go and do the hobby or not, we just interview somebody that does the hobby, which is probably a little easier. Hit us up, patreon.com/1 Ounce Pour Podcast, and pay us some money because, I mean, we deserve it. We're sitting here busting our balls. What are you doing? You're just listening. It's lame. Pay us. Whew. All right. Now that all that's out of the way, Matt, how the fuck are you?
Doing all right, man. Doing all right.
Good. Good. Do we tell the listeners how close we are? Or do we just let them think we're strangers?
I think we tell them how close we are.
Okay, good. Good. I was hoping you'd say that because, I like telling people how close I am to Matt.
There's some good stories. There's a few good stories there.
So when I was a young man, I went to Southern Oregon University. Whoop, whoop. Give them the beak. I hope that's not still their slogan, but it was when I was going there and it was terrible. They shouldn't have ever.
That was the slogan?
Yeah, and you used to hold your palm up and then pretend your other hand was a beak and like peck at your palm. Like, give them the beak. And I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. But while I went to Southern Oregon University my freshman year, I got in with a rough and tumble kind of crowd. Matt was their leader. He was
Rough crowd here.
So yeah, that's how I met Matt. Was my first year being a grown man. I went and just got constantly hazed by Matt. Good Matt story here. It's one of my favorites. Because Matt, you played football for SOU, correct?
Yes, I did.
And I don't know if it was like spring ball or something, or spring workout or spring training, but you told us all, hey, don't fuck with me. I'm going to bed and I got to wake up early. And we took that as an invitation to fuck with you and be very loud and party.
Oh, yeah.
And I have this vivid memory of like 2 a.m. or something. You come walking is a gentle way to describe it. That door almost flew off its hinges. And you came out and you're like, everybody, shut the fuck up. And in true Drew fashion, I was like, oh, somebody needs a hug. And I went to give you a hug, and you full on, like, pushed me, but with great force. And I flew across the hall and stood up and was like, Matt needs to go to bed. Everybody, wrap it up. Matt needs to go to bed. Let's give him some space.
Well, it was like 3 a.m. It was 3 a.m. at the time.
Okay, yeah.
I did say I have to wake up at 5.
You did. No. I'm not blaming you at all. I was the disrespectful little asshole. And you corrected that very fast with just one quick pop, and I flew.
I remember that in like a haze. I was like very tired. It's one of those like sleepwalking stages, and just like hurling a little cat across the room sort of thing. Yep,
I was that little cat. Just flew across the room. Yeah, it was great.
You had the hair back then. I remember that. You had like the giant hair.
I did. I had what some people refer to as big hair, which is I have naturally curly hair, and it was just would grow out, not down. I did have it referred to as a Jewfro. I am not Jewish. I'm Italian, so I guess it'd be an Italian fro. But yeah, I was quite a goofy looking feller. So thanks for hanging out with me.
You were. I think you still are, but yeah, one of these traits you just keep going with.
Oh my god. So yeah, that's a good explanation of Matt and I. We you got kicked out of the dorms though, correct?
I did.
Okay. Can I tell that story?
There's more to it though. There's multiple attempts. So please start it off.
Oh yes. No, there were multiples?
Yes.
Okay, so this is all I know. I'm watching the Super Bowl with Matt, and it's Indianapolis and the Chicago Bears, right? Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. You're rooting for the Chicago Bears. I'm rooting for the Colts.
Peyton Manning. I was rooting for not Peyton Manning. I'm going to make that distinction.
I was definitely rooting for the Colts. And the Colts won, which is great. And Matt picked up a coffee table that was part of the dorm's like IKEA set or something, and he walked outside and he Hulk threw it off a balcony and it smashed into a million pieces. And then like a couple days later, Matt's moving all his stuff out. And I'm like, oh, what happened?
Well, that was actually like the third strike.
Oh, okay.
There was multiple strikes that happened in order for me to get kicked out.
Oh.
One of them was one of those wild parties that we should have shut up before 3 a.m.
Ooh.
Remember the security guards that kept coming over?
Yeah.
Would hassle us. And so that was another strike. And then the first strike was actually helping a football player out who didn't have a housing like situation going on. I let him stay in my dorm before the season started, but there's nobody there, and they caught him and got me in trouble and gave me my first strike. So
oh no.
That was Southern Oregon for me. That was Southern Oregon.
Yeah. But then you left there, and what'd you do? You went and became somebody really cool.
Somebody really cool. You could say that.
Yeah. Where'd you get your degree?
I got my degree at Menlo College.
And what was your degree in?
My degree was actually in sports management.
No, what? Oh, but did you get a follow-up degree to that?
No. So my bachelor's is business management.
Okay.
Sports management. I went and worked for the SaberCats, the San Jose SaberCats.
Did you?
For the Arena Football League. I did.
Oh,
and I worked
I didn't
for them.
know
Like
that.
I was an intern, and I was trying to go and like I wanted to be a part of the 49ers organization. That was my dream, was to go work in professional sports somehow in some capacity. And so I went and worked for the SaberCats. It was a experience, to say the least. I got to see kind of that side of the industry. realized it may not be for me, and I went a different route into the tech space.
Yeah, and that's I think very impressive, because I see the commercials for this company all the time.
Yes.
Are you comfortable saying their name?
I don't know. Can we?
I
Are we getting in
I
trouble?
don't give a shit. No one's going to listen.
This isn't a very PC podcast.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Ooh, man. Okay, so it's a different company than what I said. But it was cool because, like, Matt told me you work for him, and then I was seeing their commercials, like, slowly climb up, and then all of a sudden you guys own the Mavericks, right? Or
yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And now you're just exploding. Matt's made it. I always hear these friends that tell me, like, oh, I'm going to get into the tech industry and be somebody, and then they don't. And I'm like, oh, but Matt legit did it. He said he was going to do it, and he did it. So kudos on you.
Well, thank you, Drew. I wouldn't say I'm a somebody. I'm just a worker, but it's been an experience and a half to go from like 30 employees to, like 2,000 or something where we're at now. It's been a hell of an experience.
But we're not here to talk about your corporate life and or upstart company that you tailed in on at the right moment. We're actually here to talk to you about your hobbies. And I'm going to first start by letting you explain your hobbies, and then I'm probably going to interject and make you talk about the hobbies I want you to talk about, because I think those are exciting too. And if you're lucky, you'll just talk about the hobbies I want you to talk about. So, Matt, what is your hobbies?
Sure. Okay. Should I start off in alphabetical order, or should we just go?
Oh, you got so many.
It's so many.
Let's pick a big one. Go with that, and then we'll kind of branch into the other ones.
Okay. Well, archery is one of my oldest hobbies. I love archery. Been doing it like my whole life. Big fan of that. Big fan of fishing as well, and camping, like being in the outdoors. Photography, of course. It's a huge one for me. I love photography. Worked as an automotive photographer for a while, shooting like pictures of Mercedes, Toyota, stuff like that.
I remember that. I remember looking at my Facebook, being in college, and seeing how glamorous you lived, and just being like, fuck you, Matt. He's like,
glamorous.
Up in the most...
I got to drive the cars. So
yeah.
I got the keys to the cars. And when I mean keys to the cars, I mean every single car that Mercedes made. So all of the AMGs, the SLS, like the Gullwing. It was awesome. Fun. It was a good little perk. It was a good little perk for the job. So that.
But yeah, go on. Sorry.
No, of course. And then, of course, we'll say writing as well. I'm a big writer, actually, if you didn't know.
Ooh,
I write a lot.
Okay, now we're going to pause.
Okay.
Now we're going to pause, because, see, this is why I love this show. Every time, like, get into somebody's hobby, not even thinking where they're going to go. So we're going to stick to this for a minute. So when you say writing, what kind of writing do you do?
What kind of writing do I do? So I do some technical writing about the industry I work in. So that's part of it. I do like philosophical writing. I try to be my, Socrates, Aristotle, draw from my inner Seneca, if you will. Do some philosophical writing. And then on the side, like I've played with some fantasy sort of, inner Tolkien, Lord of the Rings stuff, but probably won't go down that route. But it's an interesting space just to kind of play around, fuck around with.
Matt, you're blowing my mind.
Can I say that? Can I say fuck around on this?
Yeah, you can say whatever the fuck you want.
Okay, great. Fuck yeah.
You are blowing my mind, though, right now. This is crazy because I mean, no offense, but when I look at you, I'm not like, this guy writes philosophical shit down all the time.
Well, I thank you, or is that a compliment? I don't know if that's a compliment.
It might be, if I don't know, maybe a underhanded compliment or something, however they say it in the writing world. But wow, when did you start? Backhanded. When did you start writing?
I guess back in like school, like high school, middle school. I used to like win awards and stuff in school, and I always get high grades in English class. So I just kind of do that on the side.
No way.
Actually, I don't know if you ever knew this. I worked for a motorcycle magazine years and years ago, and was technically a staff writer briefly.
What? I did not know that.
Yes, that was like my kind of entryway into the motorcycle industry.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Which is another hobby. Motorcycles, cars, it's another big hobby of mine.
It is a huge hobby. I would say that is how we bonded.
Yeah.
You were just like, hey, what's up? You like cars? And I'm like, yeah. you should see my truck. And then you
It
were
was
like,
a picture of your truck or a T-shirt or something like that. It was.
I think I
badass.
had it on the back of a T-shirt for being part of the show. But no, oh my God, Matt, this is amazing. So you started you said middle school?
Yeah, like middle school, high school.
And what did you start writing in middle school / high school that made you feel like, man, I like doing this?
I think it was some like just bullshit fantasy story. And I just kind of went on and on and on. And it was kind of fun to just develop these characters and like this whole like background scene. And then I got a fucking A for it and was like, oh, that was cool. I can do that again. And I was like, I can do that a few times. And then, did that. And there was also another like essay contest. It was like write an essay about a historical figure, things of that nature. And I used to crush those as well. So I kind of like the historical, I guess, like, I don't know, like reference type writing that is as well.
That is, my mind is blown. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just thought I was a football guy, huh? Just thought I was a football guy.
Just thought I was a dumb duck. No, well, it's funny because in high school, I started writing poetry.
No way.
Yeah, and then...
Well, back the truck up now. Will you write poetry? Hold on.
So I started writing poetry, and then I won 2 big awards in our school for poetry, and I thought, oh, I like doing this. This is kind of fun. And it's like Dr. Seuss poetry. Don't ask, it's not like good or anything. I just don't think a lot of people were submitting at that point. But
can you recite something?
I did not. I've never done spoken word poetry, but I started writing a little bit of poetry, and then it kind of carried on into college. I would just kind of like write a little bit of poetry. To this day, I don't write poetry anymore, but I like to write like songs. Like I'll come up with a song in my head and I'll just like type it out real quick on my computer and then I'll delete it. I don't want anyone to see it ever again. But that's no, it's kind of cool when you can formulate something in your head and then put it on paper. And my favorite thing to do is to walk away and then I come back and I reread it. Yeah. And if it's something that really is like, I don't know, like gives you the goosebumps, then you got to delete it even faster because it's...
That's a good strategy. That's a good strategy.
Yeah. So what do you do? Do you log everything digitally? Do you have a handbook? I picture that now that you've said all this, I'm making a little mental painting of Matt. Do you have like a leather-bound book?
Ooh, I do.
With like
I have
a charcoal pencil, and you like sit on the tailgate of your exploration vehicle and write your sonnets?
So yes. Yes. That's part of it. I have several notebooks. I have a lot of those moleskin notebooks, like 5 or 6 of them, lying around the house. And I use one different notebook for like one different line of thought or train of like area of thought.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
This is, that scene in Step Brothers when he's like, did we just become best friends? We've had that moment like 6 or 7 times and it just keeps growing. It's amazing. Yeah.
The latest rendition.
Oh man. Matt, the writer. Because I was fully expecting you to come on the show and be like, oh yeah, I do a lot of adventuring, and that would segue into all your adventure hobbies, which I'm still wanting to get back to because you do some amazing stuff there. But just the writing aspect, how does somebody get into writing?
How do you get into it? Take a class at like your local junior college for free. So I took a creative writing class as well and got published in one of our like local journals for some like short story I wrote as well. But that was like a $50 class at the local junior college. What
was the short story?
I can't even tell you. I can't remember it. It was...
When did you do this, though?
Ooh, like 10 years ago.
Oh, so this was, years ago? Fairly recent. I mean, you're into your adulthood.
a decade ago, yeah, for sure.
Into your adulthood, though. This wasn't when you were a kid. This is into your adulthood.
Yeah, I'd gone to college for a few years and learned what I liked and didn't like by then.
Wow. That's amazing. And what drove you to go to a junior college and say, I want to take this class?
Affordability. So I wanted to learn, and, college is expensive, and junior college had a lot of opportunities and cheap classes, so I took one.
It's amazing. And what would you say you gathered the most from that class?
I'd say public speaking. I was terrified to, read things in front of people, and they made us do that, read your poem, or story, whatever, but in front of the rest of the class and do that over and over again. So it was like a public speaking / creative writing class.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And that kind of helped with talking to people on podcasts like you, Drew.
Hey, See? Look at that. Full circle. That's what we were bringing it back to. Now, once you take this class, what would you suggest next steps? Like, would you suggest that somebody goes and gets a dozen Moleskine journals and leaves them throughout the house, or what?
I'd say whatever works for you, but like if it's a digital version of that, or if it is a physical version, or whatever gets you to write every single day, like go do that. Even if it's for 30 minutes, 20 minutes, one page, they used to say, one line, but just do it every single day so it becomes a habit, and then over time, you'll start building on that.
And do you have something in your possession, writing-wise, that you're like, at this point, is your coup de grace?
It's a good question. Hard hitting.
Right?
I don't know if I would call it that. I have some things that I've written down, like some tenets that I believe in, but I don't know if I have that yet.
What do you have in your possession that you've written down that you're proud of?
Oh, a lot of stuff, a lot of thoughts, a lot of wisdom.
Okay.
I'm kind of documenting my family history as well. That's a big part of it. So
very cool.
That's me something I'm proud of.
And are any of them close? Would you feel comfortable grabbing one and reading it?
Not at the moment. They're not close at the moment.
Fair enough.
Maybe for a future episode.
Absolutely. We could have a whole podcast of just Matt's readings. Oh, you know what? We should make this a fucking segment. We just call you up out of the blue, and you have to recite some Iliad of Matt's on air.
Ooh. Oh, actually, we could do that.
Ooh. See, I like this because I'm just like collecting stuff, you know. So we'll have you do that segment. We'll have some other people do little segments. Soon, I won't even need to run this podcast. It'll just be happening organically.
Just segments on segments.
Yeah, people would be segmenting themselves. And all of that will generate me money on Patreon, because don't forget, if you go to patreon.com/1 ounce pour, the number 1 OZ pour, you can pay me money. That's my shameless plug. I apologize for that. So moving on.
Do you have like a referral program or something? Like
I don't. I'm just trying to figure out the interwebs.
T-shirts or something. Every time they like subscribe, you buy a T-shirt, mail something.
Actually, you know what's
koozie, koozie.
You know what's funny is they give you these options. So if you do the 350 subscription, you get like a sticker 3 months in, and then if you do the $7 one, you get a T-shirt. I wish they had the beer koozie option, but they don't. I'm gonna create my own patches because I'm obsessed with patches. That's one of my hobbies, is collecting patches and sewing them on a vest, specifically for breweries. But whatever, mine will look good on there. So we're gonna have that one day if somebody pays me fucking money to do it.
That sounds good. I like that, man. So
I'm not going to stick to the writing too long, but I have to know, what feeling do you get when you know, like, I got to write this down?
Oh, anxiety?
Is it?
Like, oh my God, like I have to get it out of my head and onto paper before I forget.
Oh,
sort of thing.
So would you say it's like a therapeutic thing for you to write this stuff down, or is it anxiety, like, I got to get it out before I forget?
It's definitely, I get it out before I forget, but there is a therapeutic sort of sense in the writing. Like it ties in with that, like getting those thoughts out of your head, putting them on paper. Then you can, once they're on paper, you can like manipulate them and you can start building on them. And, you know, it's like, it's actually something tangible. So that's what I like. It's like, take those thoughts and turn them into something tangible.
Oh, that's dope. I wish, Matt, I've known you for too long to say on air, because then it dates me. And I've never known this about you. This is amazing. This is like a whole new friendship moment unlocked. Thank you for that.
No, that's awesome.
That was way cool.
Podcast is here for.
Dude,
cool.
Dope. So, anything you want to say about your writing hobby?
I think we need to go back to this at a future time.
Absolutely. This is like a whole...
some little anecdotes for you. You can do some stuff with that.
It's like a whole episode we could just unravel into writing in general.
I think so.
But I did bring you on here to talk about your cool adventures. And that's kind of what I want to talk to you about.
So I definitely like adventuring. We can talk about that. That kind of ties in with cars, automotive, travel in general. It's a big hobby of mine. So yeah, adventuring.
Yeah, because most of the time when I've hung out with you, you've been on an adventure and stopping by, and it's been pretty cool to hear. You've hit most of the national parks on the West Coast, correct?
I have. I mean, just about all of them. I have to go to North Cascades. And then surprisingly, Joshua Tree in
What?
Southern California. Yeah, so the northernmost and the southernmost I have to hit still.
All right.
That's it.
Now, you don't just drive down and stay in a hotel, right?
No, I go camping most of the time. I have a truck that's built out, one of those adventure rigs they call them.
Yeah,
I'm set up for camping in the woods.
The adventure rigs, that they call them something, overlanders. Is that what yours is? An overlander?
No, I mean, it looks kind of like them, but I don't really fit into that sort of crew or vibe.
What is an
But I do
overland? It's like a
travel.
low-speed Baja truck, right? Or something?
It's like if you took a pre-runner and you took the suspension off
Okay.
and replaced it with fuel cans. Just take the suspension off, grab 30 fuel cans, 10 water cans, a shovel, an axe, everything you could possibly imagine you would need for the outdoors, and somehow put it on the outside of your vehicle so everyone can see them. That's what overlanding is.
That seems so stressful. Just because I would constantly be worried somebody is going to steal my axe that I have on the outside of my truck.
Yeah, especially if you live in Portland, and that sort of thing happens all the time.
Overlanding. So you consider yours an adventure rig?
I would use the term adventure rig.
Okay.
A little more than overlander.
And you got a big old power wagon, correct?
I do. A Ram 2500 power wagon.
Big old 6.4 liter.
Hemi. It's a Hemi.
Hemi. Thing got a Hemi.
Like if you really wanted to do Jeep stuff, but you just did not want to drive a Jeep, then get a power wagon.
There you go. Does that have locking front and rear?
Front and rear, locking different. Yes.
Nice. I've never been a big Jeep guy. I actually despise Jeeps a lot.
I don't like driving them personally. They're not fun. They're not enjoyable to drive. I mean, if you took one to Moab and it was built, then maybe, but aside from that, getting a Moab would suck driving that thing.
Yeah,
So.
I had a JK and it was...
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did.
When?
When I worked at the dealership.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. It was miserable. It was absolutely miserable 90% of the time, and then 10% of the time when I'd take it up like to different spots to bow hunt, it was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, this is what Jeep life is all about. But that was 10% of the time. And I had a enduro bike that would take me even further than the Jeep that I picked to ride over the Jeep every time. I even bought and made my own custom bow mount for the back of this bike so I could ride 2 different bow hunting spots and not take my Jeep. I hated that thing so much.
Dude, how have we not gone bow hunting together? That's another story.
I would love that. I would also like to get into bow hunting again. And I feel like
Did you do that in Oregon or no?
I did. Oh, yeah.
In Ashland? Okay.
I did a lot and never actually killed anything other than squirrels. So I more hiked with my bow than actually bow hunted.
Okay, fair enough.
I got really close, but didn't actually kill anything. So it was a hobby.
Hunting, like bow scouting.
Bow scouting. It was a hobby that I got really into. I used to fletch my own arrows. I used to cut down my own shafts. Like I'd knock my own arrows, everything. I'd make my own, my actual bow string. I'd make that. It was a lot of fun. Just doing all of that aspect. And then I'd go out and I'd hike around with a bow and it was miserable. Wake up super early, go find a spot, let a squirrel just ruin your day, tell all the deer where you're at.
Right. No, I love archery. It's one of my oldest pastimes, I guess they say.
I would say I'm more into archery than I am into hunting. Like, I would much rather go and shoot a target than go out and hunt.
It's very, like, meditative, like Zen, when you're out there trying to just shoot.
It's awesome.
A bow.
And I have a pretty nice bow, and I have it set up pretty nice. You know, I don't have all the, like, crazy stuff on there. And I keep thinking, like, I should go and I should shoot this, and it'd be a lot of fun. And then I go up to my parents' property, and I shoot my recurve, and I'm like, this is all I need. I love this bow.
Yeah.
Like, a recurve is perfect. It's so amazing. Like, it's light. You can just flick some arrows around, and then you're done.
Traditional.
Yeah.
I like that.
I feel like a full compound, you know, it's a whole thing. You gotta get all your shit straight.
It is, but that sound of the arrow in the air sounds so cool.
It is pretty cool. I mean, it's like a mini little shotgun blast.
And it hits that tack.
Yeah, I need to actually get my compound out and take it out and go and do that. Actually, I don't know if it was last show or 2 shows ago. We talked about archery golf. It was last show.
Archery golf,
dude. It is so much fun. Oh,
what is that? I mean,
so it is.
Do I need to listen to the podcast, or
Yeah,
can you give me the?
I mean, you can listen to the podcast. It's basically like frisbee golf, but with a bow and arrow.
Oh shit!
It is amazing. And
Tom
looked it up on his phone while we were all talking, and he's like, "Oh, there's a bunch near you," and I got very excited. Turns out there's none near us. So maybe it's just an Oregon thing. I don't know, but maybe I could set up my own course. It's a lot of fun. If you can find one near you, I would highly suggest going out and doing it once. It's a blast.
I'm gonna have to Google this. Pull it up. You have someone to pull it up for us, or no?
Not currently today. Nope. Tom's out, so we're just stuck. You, me, wishing we could pull it up right now.
Such a crucial position to the up here.
Yeah. So back to adventure rigging / monument visiting / camping. Where did you get started in this?
When I was a kid, my mom used to take me for drives when I was like fussy or would have some issue or we were just bored. We'd go for drives in the woods. And so I always liked kind of that road trip driving experience. And then when I got older, she'd take me camping or we'd go on like road trips up and down the coast and in the Sierras and stuff like that. And so I always kind of loved nature. And I sort of do this kind of in my mom's honor every summer. I take a road trip and I go through national parks and kind of see them. So
that's cool.
It's kind of like in a way to honor my mom. And also I just grew up doing this. So I love nature and being outside nature. And it's fun, with a big Hemi terracing through nature as well. So it's kind of sounds cool. This Flowmaster's echo in the canyons and kind of cool.
Hell yeah.
So.
I like that really tight line that you toe of like, I got a Hemi, woo! And also, like, looking at nature and writing it down in my moleskin journal is a beautiful moment that I can only aspire.
Not many people can pull that off.
And you pull it off so well.
Surprised.
Yeah, most people are just, straight piping their Jeeps and trying to rip ass up a canyon, and here you are.
It's true.
Adventure rigging. I love it. So what does somebody need to do to get into adventure rigging?
Get good at driving off-road. So get an off-road vehicle, a 4x4 vehicle, understand how to maintain it, and then just practice on baby trails and work your way up to some of the scarier shit. And then once you start doing that, sort of, expanding out your terrain, snow, sand, mud, stuff like that, and just going farther and farther. I would pick a place you want to go and see, and then try to get there with as little highway or road use as possible.
It's amazing how little people can comprehend of what off-road driving is all about.
It's scary
so
when
different.
You're actually out there. It is.
It's so different. You get a whole lot of oversteer, then you get a whole lot of understeer. You have to have certain angles of descent and climb, and you need to know throttle control going through those, and snow is different than sand, which is different than grass, which is different than mud. And people
the
just
aspect.
Yeah.
Like there's times where you're 100 miles from services, and you're just like, please don't break down, please don't break down. You better have that's the big part of it, is having every single spare you can possibly need when you're out there. So
I don't know if I could honestly go and do that, just because I'm such a hypochondriac with my cars that I'm constantly thinking oh, did I put that on right? Did I? Is that what that noise is? Is that what's going on right now? No, we're good. And I feel like out there, it'd be a whole other mess for sure.
Yeah. You just hear a tick or you feel a bump that you didn't feel or a rattle you didn't feel before. You're like, what was that? Is that happening? Is it? This is it?
Do you remember? So did you ever drive on any of those roads in Southern Oregon? Those dirt roads that lead to somebody's weed farm?
A few of them. I had the Audi at the time when I was in Southern Oregon, so I would just tear ass up the mountain. Didn't go out on too many of the dirt roads, but with a few of the kids we did.
So I had a Crown Vic. It was a police
a Crown Vic?
Dude, it was a police interceptor. It was dope. And first off, a Crown Vic police interceptor is a V8 rear-wheel drive cab on frame car. Name one other car like that right now. None. They don't exist. That car doesn't even exist. It was a cab-on-frame V8 rear-wheel drive car. It was a pickup truck car. It was amazing. I don't need to justify why I had that car, okay? It was amazing. But I would tear ass up and down these dirt roads thinking I was Dukes of Hazzard. And I would get back, and I swear, like every little like tick or scratch or whatever noise, I was like, I did that. Oh no.
Yes.
Every time. I don't know if I could do adventure rigging.
That happened to me. I think it was out in Tillamook when I was going down a hill, overloaded and a little too fast, and then I heard a noise I shouldn't have heard, and then my suspension started making noise ever since then. And yeah, you know the story after that. But the point is, carry spare parts.
Always carry spare. I think that you're into a hobby that might also be make sure your savings is constantly at a good level.
Yeah, you know, with gas prices and maintenance, tires. Tires are actually the most expensive part, I think, so far.
Well, you were rolling up here in mud terrains.
Yeah, I mean, once you get to Moab and the Rockies and, you know, they're worth it. Trust me, man. They're worth their weight in gold when you're out there.
They're worth it, but they're gone now, correct? They're just bald.
Ooh, they're pretty low. They're pretty low. I made it back, but they're pretty. I wouldn't use them for snow for the next mud season, for that way. But
my
might be good
favorite. Oh man, my favorite was I worked for Les Schwab for a brief moment, and we would get these guys that would come in. I got to get mud terrains. You're like, do you? How often do you go off road? Well, it's not that. I like the way they look and sound. Because they have that like tank tread sound.
The drone. And
you're like, all right, but just to let you know, that tire is going to wear out in like 3 to 5 months. It's going to be gone. Yeah. You're not going to have any tire left and you're going to be upset.
Yeah.
And they're like, no. I don't drive aggressive. Nah, it doesn't matter. They're gone. 3 to 5 months later, all these guys would come back in. What's the warranty on this tire? You're like, they have a warranty, but it's not for wearing the shit out of them because you drive the pavement all day long. That's not covered. Your tire's gone. You should get new tires. You should get like ATs or something. But yeah,
the reviews online are hilarious because it's just people complaining about the tire life, and it's like my dually only gets 10,000 miles. My 3,500 mud tires is only going to get 10,000 miles, and they're pissed off. Oh, the tread life is terrible. It's like, no, you're riding mud tires and towing fucking trailers and shit.
Fucking ply. My favorite part about being a car guy, and you could probably attest to this, is when somebody tells you how it is, and you're like, okay. That's cool. Alrighty, bud.
Yeah. When they know more. They just know more than what you do all the time.
You're like, that's going to be so fun when you come back to yell at me for me being right about this. And then
not going to lie. The first time I got those mud tires, they kind of laughed at me. They were like, this guy's going to wear them out. But I actually...
But you use them. So
I go off-roading so much.
It's a purposeful purchase. So that makes more sense. Yeah. I feel with cars the way that I think a lot of my gun-toting buddies feels with guns. You know? Like, I don't know anything about guns. Do I want guns?
You know anything about guns?
I don't know jack shit, and I feel so bad because I'll be talking to some of my buddies and they'll be telling me about their guns, and I'm like, yeah, boom, boom. Yeah. And then they'll be like, okay, bud, you're good. Go sit down. But one time I wanted to get a handheld pistol, revolver, and for bow hunting, because I stepped into an area that I didn't feel safe, and I thought it'd be nice to not have to draw a bow back and take a charging bear down. Yeah. So it'd be nice to have a handgun. And I talked to one of my buddies, and I was like, yeah, I really want a handgun. And he's like, which one? And I showed him a picture of it, and he's like, why? Why do you want this gun? And just like the mud terrains, I was like, because it looks cool. He's like,
what was it?
Fucking idiot.
What was it?
It was like a Ruger Blackhawk or something. It was like a old westerny, like
6-shooter.
But a 6-shooter you had to like open up and load individual bullets in, not like where you open up the whole revolving unit to load all six.
It's like a musket? Is this like an old like...
No, it's not like a musket. It was like you pull down the little side tab and then you load one and then you spin the chamber and load another and then spin the chamber and load... Anyway, it had like a push rod in it and everything. I just thought it was a cool gun. He's like, dude, if that's what you want... I mean, it's 44, so it could take a bear. And he's like, if that's what you want, go for it. I went and held the gun.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not a big person at all. And I held the gun and my hands were too big for the gun. So then the gun salesperson was like, oh yeah, well, we can give you different grips for this gun. And it'll fill your hand up a lot better and blah, blah, blah. And he showed me the grips and it ruined the whole aesthetic of the gun. Like, the whole reason I wanted it is because it had the wood with the brass, like, I don't know what you call it, nails. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I just thought it looked cool. It looked like, I was Doc Holliday out there trying to get bears away from me. I was thinking about like the holster that would go in and like how I could quick draw it out and get a bear.
Maybe you shouldn't buy a gun.
Oh, maybe for sure. I think if anybody knows me mentally, I don't think I'm prepared for a gun.
Yeah.
I'm that person that they instantly put on a watch list for a gun. They're like, I don't know, bud.
That's why they designed the watch list.
I'll be like, oh, all you need is my ID, right? And they're like, and maybe a couple days to do a couple checks on you. Figure this out for real. But yeah, so that's my whole gun thing. My wife's a gun nut, and she owns a couple guns. So if anybody ever breaks into our house, just know you'll be shot by a very attractive lady. So
that's the way to go. That's the way to go. I know,
right? I think I was trying to deter people, but after saying that, I think I maybe incentivized people.
Let's go find Drew's house.
Let's go find Drew's house and get shot by a nice blonde. But bam! Yeah, I'll just be cowering between pillows. Oh, save me!
You have the bow.
I do. And maybe I'll bite him. That'll teach him.
Ooh.
Yeah. You break into my house. Hold him down. So, adventure rigging. Let's get back
to
driving off-road. How does somebody get into adventure rigging?
I'm sure there's like meetups and stuff online. I do all this shit solo, so I'm different than everybody else. I don't do it for the gram. I just end up on the gram. But yeah, I go solo. So like, I just looked it up myself. You can find a lot of information online. I think there's a good website. What was it called, Drew?
Oh, I wish I knew.
Name? It was like Expedition Portal or something like that. It's a really good like overlanding, off-roading website. You can find a lot of good information on there. I'd say just gave them a free shout out. I mean, the fuck I
do it right now. What is it? Expedition Portal?
Yeah, Expedition Portal.
All right. I'll attempt to do something on Instagram, but I'm not very savvy with it. So Expedition Portal, I apologize if I accidentally link it to like your mom's account or something. Once you get into it, what would you say is the number one thing you need to have at your disposal? And don't say money. I know you're going to say money. Don't say money.
I was going to say money. Money, patience, time. I just think like a willingness to go out and explore places that most people don't go to, because that's where you're going to get away from the crowds and get those really good shots that may not be the like Instagram du jour, but you won't have to deal with 50 people in front of you the whole time. So that's what I'd recommend.
And what is the goal of adventuring? It's not Instagram, right? It's to get away, right?
It's just to see the world. There's a lot of beauty out there in nature, and there's a lot of cool shit to see. So just like getting out there and getting away from it is kind of cool.
I like this whole aspect and background of this concept. Like, take big trucks and go out in nature and get out.
take big trucks and stomp on nature as you appreciate it. Yes.
Well, there's trails. It's just like every outdoor hobby, right? Nothing drives me nuts more than people saying like dirt biking. That's a hobby that I've had my whole life. Like, dirt biking's destroying nature. Like, well, I don't think you look into the rest of what's going on with nature or with the hobby. Like, dirt biking is on a set trail, and outside of that, every piece of monies that you pay is not toward like Mad Max's off-road experience. Like, it's all toward a BLM or toward some sort of outdoor preservation area.
Right.
So I don't get people's arguments of like, you're trampling on nature. You're trampling on a portion of nature that is designated for that, and all the monies goes to preserve all the nature around it.
Well, right. They've never done it, and they've never experienced it. They just think they know about it. There's a lot of that going on.
That's my favorite. That's a hobby in itself, is thinking you know a lot about something and then making that a fact and putting it out into the universe, and that's your whole argument.
So ignorance is a hobby.
Yes, ignorance is the number one hobby of today. It's great. It's like, y'all need to calm down. But I did the same thing, but on 2 wheels. And that was my favorite thing, except I did it very cheaply. I bought a 1975 Honda XL 350, and I just would strap my luggage to the back on the back rack and go out in nature, and yeah, it was fun. I never went as far as you did, though. That 350 wouldn't have taken me where you went.
Those shots, though, I remember you sending those. I was jealous of you at the time. I was like, man, I want to go do that. So you partly inspired my adventure.
Look at that. Look at that. It's funny because when I finally had the bike to do it, like I finally bought, flip, sold, all these bikes to get the bike I thought I wanted, which was a DR650, which if anybody's getting into enduros, you need to realize one thing. It's going to do everything half-assed. It's going to do the off-road half-assed. It's going to do the on-road half-assed. You're never going to find this is a perfect bike for both. Yep. And this bike, I knew I wanted to make it off-road capable. So, I mean, I bought the plastic tank for it. I bought all the shorty fenders for it. I put a 790 kit on it.
Nice.
Which bumped it up to, I think 13-to-1 compression. It sounded like a mini Harley, dude. It was dope. You fired that thing up. It was crazy. I did all the rim locks on it. I did everything that you needed to do to make it an off-road oriented bike. And then I rode an actual dirt bike, kind of dirt bike enduro, had a plate. And I rode that around and then hopped back on that on my DR and was like, oh my God, what am I doing? And I sold it and got a dirt bike. It's crazy. But one thing I will say that the 1975 XL 350, have you ever read Zen and the Art? Wait, hold on. Oh,
the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance.
Exactly. Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. Have you read that?
Yes.
Okay, good. That book definitely inspired me to nut up or shut up and go and do some kind of crazy. So my whole goal was I wanted to find a dirt path to the coast from Ashland, which for those that don't know, Ashland is very inland. The coast is, what is it, 200 miles?
It's 150, I think.
Okay, 150. There's plenty of paved ways to get there, but there's deep, dark secret nobody will tell you about dirt roads to get there. And I've asked everybody. I rode that XL 350, I think 120 miles before I was like, this is nuts. I'm on a 1975 motorcycle. Fuck the art of or the Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. Fuck that book. Fuck it all. I'm going home. This is stupid. This is the dumbest thing I've ever done in my life. And I went home. And then I tried it again. I know, all that effort for nothing. And then I tried it again on my DR650, and I rode all the way to some weird point. I had to go a couple different paved roads. Never made it. Went all the way back home. It's on my bucket list, man. I need to figure this out. I don't live in Oregon anymore, so it's very low on my bucket list. But you do it for me. I'll live vicariously through you. You need to go down to Ashland and drive up in the hills and find your way to the coast. Actually, I think it's behind Talent is where you
Ashland to the coast. We'll call it Ashland to the coast. Okay.
You'd spread my ashes out there or something. I don't know. Make it, really memorable. Read one of your sonnets. So
I will.
Back to your hobby, because that's why you're here, right?
Right.
You got to get the right rig. You got to have time and patience. You got to have maintenance.
Yep.
You got to be on what was the website?
Expedition Portal will give you some insights.
Expedition Portal will give you some websites. Then what do? Do you just go out and find a place near you and just start adventuring, or?
Yeah, you go out and practice. Go out and go camping and go local, so not too far, and start going further and further. So go someplace, an hour away or half an hour away, and go a place 2-3 hours away, and then 4, 5, 6, then 8 to 12, and then start doing multi-day trips where you're just camping and going along the way and just go further and further out.
Now, normally this is where we end the show. It's an hour. That's tops. You got time?
I got time.
Hell yeah. So,
and I was right. It's 140 miles. There you go.
To the coast?
Boom. Yep.
Damn, so I was like 10 miles away from the coast?
Yeah. You almost got there, man.
Almost. I could smell it. I just couldn't see it. I actually want to talk to you about archery a little bit because this is something we share. When did you start your journey in archery? Like, what got you into it? Because it's a weird hobby for people to actually get into when you think about
actually,
it.
My friend from middle school was heavily into like hunting and fishing and archery. And he had a bow and like took me to this free archery range where I used to live. Went and shot the bow, loved it. Was like, this is fucking cool. And then, so I'd go out there with him, like on the weekends, and would start shooting his bow, and then I got my own, and then just started going from there. And then we started competing with each other, and that's when it got fun. We'd go out there and we'd compete over beers. Like we'd have the different shots, lined up, those like 3D targets. And then whoever got, 2 or 3 at the heart, or whoever got the closest one to the bullseye or got the most bullseyes would owe the other person a beer, and we would go around and do that. At the end of it, then we'd go, whoever owed the other person beers, we'd go out and pay for beers. And we just did that over and over and over again. We got really good at it over the years.
Dude, that's dope.
It was fun.
So, what were you guys shooting? Were you recurve or compound or?
Compound. He makes his own. So my friend makes his own bows.
Oh, that's
you got to have on the show.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be cool to have on the show. But I at the time we were both shooting compounds, and I think it was a PSC at the time. Yeah. And right now I have a bear, so I have a bear archery.
Yes.
Compound.
Which one? Which bear?
It's an older one. It's the Mauler.
Mauler. Because when I was looking at bows, I was trying to get the Anarchy, the bear Anarchy.
That's the one I'd probably upgrade to. Yeah.
And nice the reason I wanted that bow, and for all you out there that are going to hear this and laugh, I still finger fire even with my compound.
Finger fire, huh?
Yeah. So nice. I had to find, because the angle in which you pull it back, it creates the angle with the string of new bows is so taut and so like crazy that you can only de-loop to shoot it. And there's like 3 or 4 bows out there that you can still finger fire from, and the Bear Anarchy is one of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the rest of the bows you can't finger fire from. Yeah. Where did you, once you got into archery and once you started firing with your friend and everything like that, what kept you going in that hobby?
It was just fun, man. Like just the feeling of like trying to line everything up. It's very zen. It's like you just have a moment out there where it's like all quiet. You're in nature, trying to line up a shot. The birds are fucking chirping, and you hit that crazy, 70, 80 yard bullseye or whatever it is, or animal, deer, whatever you're trying to do. It's a cool feeling. So like, actually, we did a lot of target shooting, and we would do these crazy shoots, 70, 80, 90 yards through trees and across ravines and stuff like that. And so when you'd hit those shots, man, I'd feel fucking good.
Dude, that is cool. Like, you need to find an archery golf place near you. That is like the whole thing. And I told this story last time. So my buddy Ryan and I went and played archery golf, and the craziest thing was, you're trying to hit these targets at distances and whatnot. We were betting on who's going to buy lunch, and I just launched one. And both of us thought, it didn't hit. And then we got up there and saw it, and we're like, holy fuck, it hit. Like, oh my God. It was crazy. So that feeling is for real.
It's a cool feeling.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, no, I need to get back in archery for sure. I love that whole aspect of it.
We should go hunting, or at least target shooting, or even doing the golf. Just getting out there and competing again is what kind of made it fun for me. So if I had someone to compete with, we can go do something like that.
I would say, and this is going to dive into a whole different segment of hobbies. The hardest thing with hobbies is trying to find people to do those hobbies with, because you can only do a hobby for so long, in my opinion. There's probably tons of people out there who will disagree with this, but you can only do a hobby so long before it becomes like, I'm just out here mountain biking by myself, or I'm out here shooting archery by myself, or I'm out here, doing whatever by myself. It takes your hobby to a next level when you find someone that's into the hobby, and you can have that shared experience of like, we're both enjoying this at the same time.
Definitely agree with that. I definitely agree. Like, multiplies the experience.
Yeah, and I think archery is such a, cause and effect hobby that it definitely needs that like added person to it. Because it's like, you shoot and you hit as close to the bullseye as you can get, and you look around like, oh, didn't we see that? And you're like, oh, nobody did. I always feel like I have a much better time shooting archery when there's somebody, that you're either competing against or shooting with, and you can point out like, oh, look what I did, versus, just shooting alone. Because I'll go out and every once in a while I'll just shoot my bow and arrow and I'll feel like, okay, well, cool. All right. My grouping's all right. No one saw it, whatever. Most fun I've ever had is with a friend, for sure.
Agreed.
Do you have a lot of ranges out there in Portland?
There's one close by. It's very easy to get to, but it's not very fancy. The one back in California that was by my house was epic. Like, if you're ever out there, we should go.
Absolutely.
Just, hit up that range. You would be impressed by it. The shots and the range of shots and the distance it's pretty cool.
I will say, and this is like the third time I've done a shout out to the Ashland Gun Club, but their archery stations and everything, it's amazing. Like, they have one of the better setups I've ever seen for an archery range. They're also the same ones that had the archery golf, so that adds to it as well. If you're ever driving through Ashland, you should just stop. I don't know if it's a members only scenario, so don't think you're just going to stop in or not, but
gotcha.
I got peoples down there, so you'll get in.
Okay. That's good to know.
To end everything, hobbies in general, what would you say? If somebody wants to shoot archery, get into adventure, what do you call that again?
It's adventuring.
Adventuring. All right, adventuring. Yeah. So if somebody wants to be thorough, how do you suggest they tackle their hobby? What would you say would be your one little nugget you would leave on this show as like, hey, do this to be better?
I would just say find what makes you happy. Like, find the part that's fun and just do that. Don't worry about learning everything. Find the part that's fun and start with that. Start with that first.
I'll tell you what, I know you may or may not have listened to some past shows, but y'all are hearing a theme here, right? Go out and fucking do what's fun. It's crazy. Like, whether it's hockey, whether it's 3-gun, whether it's archery, adventure rigging, riding, wrestling alligators, it doesn't fucking matter. Go out, have fun, find the hobby that's for you, and then come back and report to us, man. Like, that's what we love. That's why we do this podcast, is specifically because we want to live vicariously through you. And we want our listeners to live vicariously through you. And we want you to promote your hobby to the point where maybe one of our listeners says, holy shit, I want to do that. And they go and they do it. Because that is what it's all about. That's what having a hobby is all about. I'm going to leave it there. Matt, any last thoughts?
Well, thank you for having me, Drew. I appreciate it, man.
No, thank you for joining. Holy shit, what an exciting episode. I thought this was going to be about you driving your Dodge around. Instead, you discussed how you love riding and how you love archery. So this has been a very, very fun episode. Don't forget to follow us, 1 Ounce Pour Podcast on Instagram. Hit us up if you want to be part of our show, or if you want to tell us a hobby that you want to get into and how to get into it. And don't forget, you can pay us now. Patreon.com/1 Ounce Pour. Thank you all for joining, and don't forget to drink it 1 ounce at a time.